Hi everyone, this is Heather from the Purdue Writing Lab. In this video, we will be talking about punctuation. If it's been a while since you've taken a course on punctuation, don't fret. This video is meant to offer a refresher on some of the common types of punctuation that you can use in your writing. In this video, we'll cover semicolons, colons, dashes, and commas. Before we get started, I want to offer a sense of comfort by saying that even though we're talking about punctuation, and that can feel confusing and overwhelming, be gentle with yourself. If you need more support or want more examples, check out the Purdue Online Writing Lab. There we have a collection of free materials full of examples and guidelines for proper punctuation use. You might be asking why we're talking about punctuation during a writing workshop for thesis and dissertation writers. Clear punctuation and easy-to-follow sentences help your reader follow your argument more easily. Of course, it's important to prioritize and address larger concerns about argument development and organization in your writing first. Still, we hope that this video about punctuation helps you to address clarity in your writing on a sentence level. Once you feel confident with your content, you can give yourself time to reflect on your sentence level clarity and proper punctuation use. Let's get started. Instead of starting with our typical 5-minute journaling activity, I thought it would be fun to talk about the importance of punctuation using a fun example. On this slide, we have two passages that use the exact same written text with different punctuation. The first example is a love letter. It reads, "Dear John, I want a man who knows what love is all about. You are generous, kind, thoughtful. People who are not like you admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me for other men. I yearn for you. I have no feelings whatsoever when we are apart. I can be forever happy. Will you let me be yours? Gloria." Very romantic. The second example is a breakup letter. Using different punctuation, Gloria calls off her relationship with John. She writes, "Dear John, I want a man who knows what love is. All about you are generous, kind, thoughtful people who are not like you. Admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me. For other men, I yearn. For you, I have no feelings whatsoever. When we are apart, I can be forever happy. Will you let me be? Yours, Gloria." The first type of punctuation we're going to cover in this video is the semicolon. Semicolons allow writers to signal the closeness of the connection between two independent clauses and shifts the emphasis towards the second clause. If you need a refresher, independent clauses are part of a sentence that are made up of a subject and a verb and offer a complete independent thought that can stand alone. On this slide, we have two examples of how you can combine two independent clauses together in a compound sentence. Take a moment to compare these two examples. Feel free to pause here and resume when you're ready. In the first example, the two independent clauses feel balanced or equally important. The second example, with the semicolon, allows the writer to sound more direct and blunt with the shorter, punchier ending clause of, "They drive me crazy." Here we can see that a simple change in punctuation can help you alter the tone of your writing. Semicolons can also help you to increase the formality of a sentence. Again, I encourage you to pause the video here and think through the differences between these two examples. Like we've established previously, semicolons used to combine two independent clauses help you to add weight or emphasis to your second clause. In the second example that we have here, it sounds like the parent, the subject of the sentence, is about to have a very serious conversation with their son's teacher. and the emphasis here is placed on that impending conversation. Finally, semicolons allow you to clarify items in a series in the presence of extra commas. The example we have here reads, I propose to study the anxious, depressive, and emotional reactive symptoms of the children, the stress and depression of the at-home parents, the resulting long-term social, emotional, and behavioral outcomes of dependent children, and the adultification of these children. If the writer in this example had chosen to use only commas, it would be difficult for the reader to differentiate between the separate components of the list provided above. As such, semicolons used in this way can help to offer a sense of clarity on a sentence level. Moving to our second type of punctuation that we'll cover today, let's shift gears and talk about colons. This type of punctuation helps you to signal a list that is usually promised by the independent clause that comes before it. Remember, the portion of the sentence that comes before the colon should be a complete independent clause. For example, if we look at the examples we have listed here, we could simply say, before I went to the store, I listed 3 items I needed to buy, and that sentence would stand on its own just fine. The addition of a colon and the subsequent list of eggs, butter, and bananas offers clarification of the items that the speaker needed from the store. Colons can also be used to signal that the second sentence illustrates or explains the first one. This requires an independent clause on either side of the punctuation. Perhaps one of the most common ways writers use colons in academic writing is to introduce a quote. This can be a helpful way to offer some variety in the way you introduce your supporting evidence. For example, if you want to change things up beyond using signal phrases like the researchers write, argue, assert, posit, suggest, and so on, you could use a colon to introduce a quote. Remember, the portion of the sentence leading up to the colon must be an independent clause. The next type of punctuation we'll discuss in this video is the dash. Keep in mind that dashes should be used sparingly in your writing, or else your prose might become choppy or hard to follow. Use them for emphasis. We can contrast this with parentheses, which can remove emphasis, as you can see in the examples here. Pause for a moment and read through the examples on this slide. How does tone shift between these 3 sentences? Let's chat about these differences during our small group discussion. Dashes also allow us to clarify bonus information if setting off that bonus information with commas would be confusing to the reader. As you can see in the second example here, it's unclear that when the speaker says items, they are referring to milk, flour, and salt. Instead, in this version of this sentence, it sounds like there are undisclosed items missing from the cupboard in addition to milk, flour, and salt. Now let's talk about commas. Keep in mind that we will be covering 4 different ways to use commas. Feel free to pause the video as needed. First up, commas can be used to join 2 independent clauses using a comma and a coordinating conjunction. On this slide, you can see the formula for using a comma in this way, as well as the example. The dissertators wanted to make progress with their writing projects, comma, so they signed up for the intensive writing experience. In addition to combining 2 independent clauses with the help of a coordinating conjunction, commas can also tie together a dependent clause and an independent clause. This can help you offer a sense of clarification for your reader. Some introductory key words or phrases that you can use in your dependent clause include after, although, because, since, when, and while. We're halfway done with comma, folks. How is everyone hanging in there? In this example, we see that commas can be used to separate 3 or more phrases or clauses written in a series. The example we have here is, I need to revise my chapter for clarity, comma, concision, comma, and grammar. Let's pause for a moment to continue talking about ways to use commas to separate 3 or more words or phrases in a list. Who here knows about the Oxford comma? The Oxford comma, or the serial comma, is the final comma that appears in a list of things. It is used before words like and or in a list of 3 or more items. While there has been some debate about whether or not the Oxford comma is needed, it's best to use it for the sake of clarity. As we can see in this comedy post from the Oatmeal, the Oxford comma allows you to clearly separate 3 or more items in a series. In the bottom example that does not use the Oxford comma, readers might think that the writer is simply offering the names of the rhinoceri they invited to a party. If you're still on the fence about whether or not the Oxford comma is needed, remember that in 2014, 3 truck drivers successfully sued Oakhurst Dairy and won over $5 million in a class action lawsuit about overtime pay. The case was won over a missing Oxford comma in the drivers' contracts. The lack of the Oxford comma changed the definition of what warranted overtime pay for the workers, and they were able to win in court. In short, when in doubt, use the Oxford comma. Finally, commas can be used to offset non-essential words in the middle of a sentence. In the first example that we have here, the sentence implies that the speaker only has one sister and could only be talking about that one specific person. As such, the sentence requires a pair of commas because the offset information is not essential to being able to understand who the speaker is talking about. In the second example, on the other hand, the lack of commas here implies that the speaker has multiple, at least 2 or more sisters, and because of this, the sentence does not require the use of commas. This clarifying information is needed or essential to maintain meaning and clarity. Okay, I know that we've covered a lot today. Take a deep breath and stretch if you need to. We've made it to our closing activity. This exercise includes 2 different parts. I encourage you to take 5 minutes or so to get started, and you're welcome to return to this activity later or during your writing time. Different academic fields tend to gravitate toward different patterns of punctuation. This activity is meant to help you get a sense of writing conventions in your field. You can start by reading through a portion of an article that you have referenced in the past. Use the search function to look up the various types of punctuation. Note the common use of each kind. Does this generalize to the field as a whole? Did you know this already, or is this new information? Once you're done with this portion, move to a portion of your own writing, particularly the project that you're currently working on. Again, use the search function to look up the various types of punctuation that you use. Is each instance used correctly? Is each instance used according to disciplinary conventions? Choose a couple sentences of your own that you have found to be problematic and revise them for punctuation. We'll share our answers together during our next group conversation. Thank you again so much for joining me today. I hope this presentation offers some insight onto how different types of punctuation can be used in your writing. Again, think of this video as a primer for general punctuation usage. If you need or want more help, don't worry. Again, check out the Purdue OWL or the Online Writing Lab and schedule a virtual appointment with us at the lab. Happy writing and revising, everyone. Until next time.